Welcome to Pixelated Realms, your guide through the digital landscape, untangling the mysteries of your favorite titles and discussing the latest and greatest in video game fun. I'm your host, Alex Salerno. Alongside me is my brother, Tyler, and our good friend, Logan. How's it going?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again, and happy holidays. I hope you're all doing well.
Yeah, holiday season is right around the corner, and it's a great time to be a gamer. Lots of good stuff. Video game, video game awards just rolled out, so we know what the best game of the year is apparently, or games of the year, and all their nominees. We had a whole episode about it last week, and I highly recommend you check it out. We go bit by bit every single award and talk about kind of our impressions of it. But we have a special guest today, Logan. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name's Logan. Known Tyler forever since we were kids. I work in the games industry. So I have been playing games my whole life, basically, and been a big fan of all sorts of different games, from console games to PC games and everything in between. And studied computer science in college, and was lucky enough to kind of land my first job in the games industry at Blizzard Entertainment when I graduated. I work for Riot now, so working on esports, some of the supporting stuff around like LoL and Valorant and those kind of things, building websites and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I do now. But yeah, excited to talk about games and everything in between. So
awesome. Yeah, no, we're super excited to have Logan. We've definitely mentioned very hinted at him in the past and wanting to get him here to talk because he has a really great wealth of knowledge both in the industry and as a gamer himself. So I'm super excited. This is a special episode, and we're hoping we can weasel Logan and steal some of his time for future episodes. So yeah, we're super excited to have him. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, very humble introduction to someone who has a really cool background. And we are certainly hoping to pull you back into multiple episodes. And I think we're going to have probably an entire episode just around your career and picking your brain and just, getting as much information out of you as we can.
Sure. Yeah, happy to.
But we'll warm up with this episode, so not to throw everything at you all at once. And if anybody has any questions for Logan, you can go to pixelatedrealms.org/ask. And drop a few questions, and that's a great place for us to. That's where we look it up. So if you have questions for him, that's where we want you to go.
Yeah, happy to answer any questions from the fans or for any of you guys. Yeah, happy to talk about it for sure.
Cool. So real quick, we're going to do some brief housekeeping. Today is our last episode for the holiday. We'll be back after. Oh boy, I should have looked this up. Let me see. Not the first, second,
7th,
the 9th.
The 9th.
Well, we record on Sunday,
right?
But okay, so we will be back the 9th. So we're going to be skipping the next 2 episodes so we can enjoy the holiday just like you're going to be, and we hope everybody has a great time. And that's it for housekeeping. I don't believe we have anything else, so we're going to go ahead and move on in. So let's just start off. What are you guys playing? We haven't really talked about that in a little bit. We talked about the Game Awards the last 2 episodes. So what's going on?
It's true. I mean, the Game Awards was a lot to talk about. But in the meantime, I've been playing a lot, actually. Since it is kind of game release season leading up to the holidays, I always get overwhelmed myself. I end up buying like 6 or 7 games and then sit there trying to like shuffle my way through playing them all. So that is what I'm currently doing. But more importantly, what have I been playing? I mean, I went ahead and picked up Avatar Frontiers of Pandora last week on a whim, and I gotta say I have no regrets. It has been an extremely enjoyable Avatar, James Cameron, Pandora experience. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but although mechanically that game doesn't really do anything new, it's kind of like a Far Cry Primal experience, your typical Ubisoft, RPG experience. As long as they slapped that mechanical structure over a beautiful and breathtaking Pandora setting, I was going to be happy with that game. So on my end, it's been exactly what I needed and exactly what I was hoping for. I know a couple people might have been like disappointed, but frankly, if I got myself an Ikron and I'm flying around Pandora in this beautiful open world, I mean, what else do I have to ask for? So I've been having a lot of fun doing that.
That sounds awesome. I totally have been meaning to pick that up. Like, I'm down with just a cookie cutter like RPG, like Ubisoft game in Pandora.
It is co-op,
like,
by the way.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah,
very cool. Yeah, definitely on my list.
Yeah. Now I know you've been playing something, Logan, and why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm eternally a WoW gamer. So I play WoW Classic. I run a raiding guild on Wrath of the Lich King. So we're getting through Icecrown Citadel right now. But I've been playing a ton of the new season of Discovery as well.
Yeah.
And that's been a lot of fun. It's been super interesting because they didn't have PTR, Public Test Realm, for Season of Discovery.
Yeah.
Basically, all the new stuff they added to the game like had to be discovered by players. So it's been really cool watching them kind of balance the game in real time. They're basically hotfixing the game like every single day and changing and tweaking things, which is amazing, honestly, for an MMO. So it's been really fun. I'm leveling my third character right now and getting through the raid and stuff. It's been super cool. I know you played a little bit too, Tyler. But you kind of fell off a little bit.
I know, that's my gaming ADHD there for you. But I mean, just from for maybe some of our listeners who don't haven't played WoW or don't play WoW, the classic WoW experience has been so how do we want to put this? Tried and tested, right? People have a very good idea of what works and what doesn't work in that game, and when some a lot of my WoW experience does come along with my friend here, Logan. So I'm glad to have him here because he's someone I've played a great deal of World of Warcraft with. And the cool thing about Season of Discovery is that it flips all of that on its head. And I think it's really fun for players like you, players like me, and players who are who have spent incredible amounts of time on this game to be able to it felt like it was day one. It felt like it was Christmas and we got to play this interesting game again. I know I spent like several hours running around trying to find a hunter ruin because I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't figure out where they needed me to go, and I was like, this is great. Like, and I thought it was super funny in the chat how people would be like, hey, where's this cave? And people would be like, find it yourself.
Go discover it.
Yeah, it was like, it's Season of Discovery, figure it out. So like even the community was kind of like in on it. Like, no, you don't get to just like ask and figure it out. Like, you have to go find it yourself. So
yeah, no, that was the meme. Like, as we were doing the raid and just wiping on bosses over and over again, it's like, we're discovering. We don't want to
discovering. Oh, we discovered he has a wipe mechanic.
Exactly. Yeah. I could talk about WoW all day long. So I know you guys talked about Season of Discovery a little bit already, so I don't want to like spend too much time going over it. But it's been a blast. Like,
maybe we'll have a whole episode on WoW.
I
days,
definitely, I definitely
have a whole
talk
podcast
about WoW. Yeah, well, that's
seriously.
But Season of Discovery seems to have been a success so far. Really fun. I'm definitely not saying that because I play Hunter, and Hunters were really overpowered for a minute. But it's really been an interesting experience, and I look forward to like following it and continuing to talk about it.
I have a question as somebody who doesn't play WoW anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So WoW Classic, the whole point, right, is that it doesn't have all the new features that retail has, right? It doesn't have all of the changes to the skill sets. It's supposed to be kind of pure and original.
Yeah.
So how much of this does it feel like at what point are they changing the game too much? And what point is it just a modification or an actual like feature change, right? Because at what point does I guess the crux of my question comes down to is at what point does WoW Classic split from retail and then just becomes two retails?
Yeah, so like that's the eternal question of like do people want changes, right? And Blizzard has been very like adamantly no changes to Classic for a long time, basically since they released Classic in 2019. But I think as like a longtime fan of the game, like it was obvious the things that needed to be changed in Classic WoW. There was a lot of things that people wanted changes to, even in 2019, that like were overwhelmingly popular, and Blizzard didn't change them. And I agree with you. Like in a lot of ways, Season of Discovery is very weird and wacky and out there, like rogues being tanks and warlocks being tanks. But I think it's a fun experience, right? And whether it has legs at level 60 or they do like another Season of Discovery type thing afterwards, will be interesting. I think Blizzard has said that this is kind of like a testing ground for what they're calling Classic Plus, which is basically like adding new content onto the Classic base game, which I think would be super interesting. But I'm personally stoked on changes, like at least in this version of WoW. Like I still want there to be a true classic vanilla experience to go back to. But I think this is a fun playground, basically, to try out new ideas.
And I totally agree with that. I think it's very I think when it came to like what distinguishes the classic feel compared to the retail kind of like updates that people, a lot of that it comes from like very big structural changes like group finders or like being able to like sell WoW tokens. Like there's definitely certain things that are more strongly in that bucket in the player base than are certain other things. And so like they did make like Logan was saying, they did make changes to classic WoW, and most of those changes were overwhelmingly requested by the community. I mean, the one that sticks out to me the most is adjusting how world buffs work, because that was such a big deal in the classic experience. When they made that change, very few people were standing up and being like, "You're ruining my classic experience," because it was just such a obvious change that needed to be made. So there's kind of two buckets. There's the everyone kind of agrees upon it on changes bucket. And then there's the don't touch this, you're gonna ruin my experience bucket. And then maybe a third bucket that says, well, what can we add that still feels like this classic experience? And I think that's where Season of Discovery fits in. It's everything they've added is, I mean, albeit they're large changes, it's not like a structural change that would make someone go, "Oh, this is just like retail now." It's still true to the classic experience. It's very encouraging. I think it's really cool. I think this is a smart way to do it, because they just don't know how that the success is going to roll out and kind of how people are going to respond. So instead of being like, "Okay, we have a 3-year plan and this is WoW Plus, WoW Classic Plus," they're just kind of like, "Okay, let's take it slow. Let's let the community be the PTR testers and the QA testers, and just see what happens." And I'm glad it's working out so far.
Yeah, and it's actually been fun. I convinced a couple of my buddies in real life who have never played WoW to give Season of Discovery a shot, and they're having fun with it. I think it like takes a different mindset to play classic WoW than you kind of approach more modern games with. It's much more slower paced, and you put on a movie while you do some quests, that kind of thing. But it's been fun watching a new player like experience WoW for the first time, and watching them like read quest texts until like level 15 until I tell them they can turn it off, and all those things. It's funny. So Alex, I think you should definitely give it a shot. It's a great game.
Drug dealer over here. I got a little bit of meth. You want to try it?
Oh my gosh.
I can be convinced. I'm a little overwhelmed with retail, admittedly. I did play Dragonflight when it first came out, and just the amount of stuff that I feel like I had to catch up to was extremely overwhelming. Especially if I didn't have the 60 progression boost.
Yeah.
So because I had that on one character, and then when I tried to build a second character and you start from scratch and you have to kind of rush through some of the past expansions, it felt overwhelming as hell. And I was just like, oh, like as somebody who doesn't play this constantly, I was like, it was like drowning in information. So I could be persuaded into classic, but I think Emily would be upset, and my friend Dustin would be like, don't do it, who's also been on the show, because he knows how much how addicting it is.
Well, we know you would have to drop your Destiny addiction in that case.
Never.
So that's never going to happen.
Oh, I do both. You could play both.
Yeah.
I do both.
Actually, the thing with Destiny is like, I feel like I can actually knock out like an entire seasons of Destiny content in like a month. So like I could play Destiny, and I do this a lot, is I'll play Destiny and then I'll stop for months until they drop like a new content boost, or there's some item I want and I want to grind it out or something like that. But I feel like I can step away from Destiny and come back to it. As opposed to like WoW, where I feel like it's a constant grind.
I mean, if you want to like be the best, it is.
I guess.
If you
I
want
guess.
that Thunder Fury, you
We'll
know,
catch 'em all.
I could be the season of Discovery salesperson right now and tell you that it's like banded
Get
at
a-
different level caps, and so it's actually
Yeah, I
great for
know. You
pacing
getting
out play
commissioned?
and things like that. Yeah, seriously, I should at this point. Yeah, sold a couple
that's the
subscriptions myself.
Mhm.
But that's the cool thing, right? It's like level 25, and like for players
Yeah.
like Logan, like that's easy to get to, man. Like I'll take a weekend to get a character or two to level 25. So that ability to like slowly roll things out, I think, is really fun, and also
Mhm.
kind of puts the brakes on the WoW community. Hey guys, this one's not a rush. This is not
Yeah.
a fight to 60. I was there on launch hour. It was thousands of players sitting in various starting zones. I mean, it was just chaos, pure chaos. So yeah, I like this
Mhm.
whole non-rushed approach. Like, hey,
I like that too.
relax.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
don't like to feel rushed by a video game, and maybe that's because I'm getting old, but it's like I like to feel like I can take my time exploring and investigating and really like getting the meat of a game. And I mean, still not feeling bored, but like I don't feel like I'm behind like within a week, you know, like
Totally.
it's like, oh, I skipped this week because I have a life and now I'm like a month behind in content, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not like a survival game where you skip a weekend and then you're home and all the work you put into
It's
something
destroyed.
is
Like
destroyed
Rust
by
or
something.
by some dinosaur in Ark or something.
Speaking of destroyed, I wanted to talk about this. Did anybody play the day before?
Oh my
no.
god! Oh
I hope
my
not, right?
god!
Oh,
Oh,
this has
podcast
to-
listeners, I don't even know
I've-
what to say.
I've been wanting to talk about this so bad because I think I think our first episode,
Yes.
I had put that as
Mhm.
one of my most anticipated games.
Yep.
And that was before it had been kind of confirmed as vaporware. And then it just went downhill from there. And I've just like watching this thing crumble the entire way through and just kind of like laughing because
Between
it's like
yeah.
they've been shooting themselves in the foot from the beginning, and I don't know if this was mismanagement or if they were trying. I really don't think they were trying to screw anybody on purpose. I think it was just mismanagement
Yeah.
and just bad decisions along the process. I mean, who could say, right? We
Yeah,
don't
right,
really know.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, for those who don't know, the day before is this zombie survival MMO/live service game. Nobody knows anymore because they keep deleting the tags. But basically, it was this zombie game, third-person shooter that you would have your character and you were trying to survive, and it was like multiplayer online, and it looked very promising. It was the number one wishlisted game when it was announced on Steam, and then people started to realize, oh, this trailer is actually a copy of another trailer from another game that almost shot for shot. Oh, I'm starting to realize that a lot of these assets that were used were store-bought from the Epic Store. Not a problem, but all of these things combined started to build this
Yeah.
picture of like, it seems like they're faking these videos. And then they were like, no, we swear it's real. And everyone's like, all right, maybe we're just giving them a hard time. Then they delayed the game and they're like, hey, we're switching our engine to Unreal Engine, which is, by the way, not like a small thing.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, that seems like like for delaying like 3 months, that seems like a pretty massive change. And then they're like, oh, we lost copyrights to the name of the game to some calendar app on the App Store. And so they delayed it again. And then and by the way, there was only like one trailer, so they never like announced anything else. And then so everyone's like, at this point, we're like, this game is not coming out. And then finally, when the date of the last time that they said that it was coming out finally came, they released it as a preview game. It came out in an awful state, like no enemies. The game was buggy as hell, barely ran.
Not an MMO.
Not an MMO, and they went and redacted all of their past like saying to be like, we never said it was an MMO, and they went and erased all of these previous things.
Edited their previous posts that had anything to say MMO or
yeah,
Nice.
And then what's the crown achievement on top of all this?
Yeah, and then with it, I don't want to say it was like 2 days after, maybe
About
3
4
days at
days.
most.
It was
4 days.
Yeah.
4 days. They closed the studio because they didn't have enough sales. They were really hoping that they could float off of the goodwill of people, but people were like, "Hey, this had never had any goodwill," and it went down. This is, I mean,
This
I'm
is going
curious to
down
hear-
in history, folks. Like this
Seriously.
is a
In the-
big blunder.
This is. having trouble thinking of another time. This has got to be the biggest failure of a large, I mean, small indie, whatever stuff aside, like as far as like a big reveal and what I'm assuming is, probably some serious money behind, like this has got to be one of the biggest blunders in the gaming industry.
I've got to agree, and like folks, like I can't even compare this to like other disappointments like No Man's Sky because they continued. They kept fighting, man. I mean, I got to give major props to was it Hello Games, right? Hello Games. Their team for sticking it out for 10 whole years and releasing content patch after content patch. They did, at least when they promised something and they didn't deliver, they followed through. This is the exact opposite. This team clearly did not have what it takes to produce a game of this level. Just from various things that we've seen, I don't want to make a judgment whether this was a scam or not. I think we all realize in actuality it has become a scam. Whether that was their intention or not, that's something we just won't know until they write books about this. But and in all intents and purposes, they did create a scam, though, right? They promised something that they couldn't deliver. They obviously weren't prepared to release a game of this caliber, and they knew that at some point, which is what caused all the delays. Right? They tried to recover. And in the end, they knew they couldn't recover. They knew they were going to shut down the studio or at least be extremely negative. And so they just released the game just to see who would buy it. And to me, I can't... That's nasty. I mean, I understand that you have to release whatever product you have. But this is like... Oh, man, what's a bad analogy? Like, it's like breaking the chandelier and then just putting it in the box to see if anyone will buy it.
Basically. And it's like... I wish kind of Dustin was here for this one because Logan, I don't know if you've ever met Dustin, but he is a PR director for in the video game industry. So I'd love to see like his kind of view of optics on this one. But it's like people are very like video game community is generally very forgiving if you don't lie. The minute you lie, though, they go for the throat. And so it's like if they would have just come out and been like, hey, listen, this game is nowhere near where we wanted it. We have this vision for it, but we're going to take time. What we need is to come out. We're going to release a beta or even an alpha or whatever, early access. And we are going to slowly build it up, but we need money to do that. Like if they were just like very frank about it, the gaming community would have been like, yeah, let's do it. I mean,
here's money.
Look at Star Citizen. It's like this piece of shit game, and people keep pumping money into it because they're like, hey, our vision. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get
Most funded game in history.
Honestly, we need like a South Park episode about Star Citizen where it's just like the Star Citizen creators are just like a bunch of douchebags who are like for the next like 300 years are fundraising for and Star Citizen ends up becoming $1 billion industry of just fundraising, but there's never ever a game. That would be the best South Park episode ever. It'd be so funny.
Yeah, I'm looking at the developer of the day before. It's fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
and they're a Russian company, and they are I've actually played one of their previous games, which is called The Wild 8. And it was actually pretty fun. It was fun. I never played Radiant 1, which is another one. And then Prop Night I've heard of but never played. Those are the 3 games they've officially released. Okay. So it's like they've actually put games out before.
Wow.
They're not like... This isn't like their first game they ever put out and they're just like screwing everyone over. They just like overcommitted.
They just failed.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at base games, like as soon as you like...
Exactly.
And
really
found that out the hard way. Yeah.
Especially a multiplayer game, a 3D game with realistic graphics. Like there's so many things that scale, right?
Yeah.
That I mean it's an paralyzingly large amount of work, but still, I mean, can't promise if you can't deliver, my friends.
Yeah.
With that being said, with talking about promises and delivering, before we hop into our kind of main topic today, I gotta say, guys, I got a chance to play the Skull and Bones closed beta.
Yes, I wanted to hear about this.
Okay, so
we haven't talked about it, so I'm curious.
Okay, so for our viewership, Skull and Bones has, and correct me if I'm wrong while I talk. So Skull and Bones has been announced. It was announced 7 years ago, I want to say. It is from some of the developers at Ubisoft who worked on Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That was the initial pitch for this game, right? Hey, we took all the people who did such a great job with Black Flag and we put them on this new IP called Skull and Bone. I think it's Skull and Bone. I don't think it's Skull and Bones. Skull and
Really?
Bone. And we're gonna create this, amazing new IP that is, launching off of the success of Assassin's Creed Black Flag and the pirate mechanics we created.
It is Bones.
It is Bones. Okay. So everyone and their mom who liked Assassin's Creed Black Flag was like, heck yeah, I'll hop on that boat. So no problem there. Then time went on, right? We wait. What was it? 4 or 5 years in, we start hearing bad things, right? The game's delayed. We lost a creative director at one point. At multiple points, I believe they lost some pretty big leadership. So nothing good was coming out. We just kept hearing like, oh, this is happening, shifts in this and this and that. So as pessimistic gamers as we are, we started as a community think like, okay, this game might not ever happen. But they persisted. They kept releasing like little snippets and teasers and trailers. And insisting that the game was going to be coming out in a year or 2 years. And, I got to admit, personally, I was at this point where I'm like, you might want to just let it die because it sounds like it's just not together. It's not going to meet the expectations. So, wrap around to this year's Game Awards, we get another trailer, Skull and Bones. It's coming out. We promise. It's happening. Come and play the closed beta. Come and play. So I was early signed up for the beta. I did get in this weekend. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I love pirate games. Huge pirate game fan. Let's do it. Let's see what everyone's saying. A lot of the reactions I was seeing on Reddit were pretty negative. People were digging into it. And so, as it goes and as why we have a podcast channel, I wanted to make my own opinion. So I downloaded the closed beta. I got into the game. I just got to tell you, everyone, it seemed fine at first. Like, I got to give some credit where it's due. When I read bad reviews, or maybe this is just my own bias, when I read bad reviews, I always expect the worst. And so when I went into this game, I was expecting it to be pretty hairy. You get into the game, you start in a bit of a story mode, you get familiar with the boats and shooting. But then it takes on a very like Ubisoft open world approach. If you've ever played any of the Assassin's Creed games or Far Cry games, they just give you a boat and they're like, hey man, now you're a starting pirate. Go make your reputation. Go do your thing. And I was impressed with that. I did not think that game was actually going to be going that direction. I thought they were going to stick to multiplayer ship battling fun,
like Sea of
right?
Thieves or something.
Kind of, on almost like any of my pirate game fellows, Black Wake, right, where it's really just a multiplayer lobby and everyone's just shooting each other. And I thought that was the approach, the 3v3. But to see them have this open world reputation like build up, where you can, obviously customize your ship, get new ships. There's different factions, right? There's different seas. I personally did not think they were going to go that direction. So, my initial playthrough, I thought it was pretty solid. I don't want to say it was perfect. It wasn't perfect. There's no what's the word I'm looking for? There's no seamless transition between your character on a boat and on land. It is a loading screen, and there's quite
interesting. That is a weird decision,
especially given that Black Flag had the seamless transition.
And Sea of Thieves.
So there's a few things that stand out, and some comments that I was writing down to tell the developers, like, hey, I understand there's probably 100 reasons why you have to do it like this, but in contrast to current games, this seems weird, like not having a seamless transition. But I'm willing to look past that as long as there's a fun gameplay loop. But now I got to get to something a little bit less positive. So I was the idiot who found a soft lock in the demo. And I soft locked myself out of my ability to continue playing the closed beta. And I'll tell you how. And Ubisoft, if you're watching, please note. So in classic video game storytelling. The first quest is you destroy some ships, right? Or you're responsible for being part of a shipwreck, and so you go and loot them, and then you go to a new higher level area. And as soon as I got into that new higher level area, I stop at town, and they introduced me to a vendor who has things to sell me. And I was like, cool, I'm going to sell the stuff in my storage that I have, and I'm going to buy some cool stuff. So that's what I did. I sold my goods, and I bought what the vendor had for me. Little did I know that the next campaign quest that I needed to do required those items that I just sold to the NPC.
And you can't buy it back.
And you cannot buy it back. So I required rusty nails and like rusted boards or something to create the tool that was going to allow me to make a boat with cannons. But
so you can't even sink another ship
because
to get the stuff?
I couldn't do that. I had a small dinghy boat and a spear, which cannot kill any other boats. Thus, I was locked out of it because I could not get the materials I needed to get the boat I needed to get the materials I needed.
Rip.
And thus I created
pour
a
one
soft
out.
lock.
That's tough.
Yeah, and I spent like an hour or more trying to like salvage off of other people's wrecks. Like I was trying everything and I could not get the items. So yeah, Ubisoft, if you're listening, hey, maybe take a look at that.
Yeah,
I mean, as somebody who's played like 100+ hours of Sea of Thieves, probably hundreds of hours of Sea of Thieves, like I'm definitely interested in this game. I mean, Sea of Thieves came out in a pretty plain state as well, and
100%.
is no longer the game that it was when it launched. And you know, if this game, I would say, is pseudo live service. So if they are going to continue to update it and content drop for it, I mean, I'm definitely interested as long as it's not like a disgusting state of bugs and just like core mechanics are awful. I'll stick it out.
Yeah, that's not really what I was getting. I saw some criticism, people saying like, "Oh, there's no waves," and I was like, I don't know. There was waves. I saw waves. It's a little bit different in the way that you shoot. So if you remember in Black Flag, you would turn your controller to a certain direction, right? You'd hold left trigger. That would show you're aiming for your left cannons or whatever. And then you hit right trigger and you'd fire up.
Oh,
and
I see. You fire from the while steering the ship.
In this case, yes.
Because like I'm thinking of Sea of Thieves, where it's like you have to run to the cannon.
No. It's more
and you aim the cannon.
It's more Black Flag. So I'm a PC player, so when I hit right click, it gives me the prompt for my cannons. But as I 360-degree rotate, it actually automatically changes which cannons. So if I look left, I get my port side cannons. If I look forward, I get my 2 forward guns. If I look right, I get my right side cannons and back. And it's seamless. So you can have all 4 people kind of fire really quickly if you're fast at it. And I also saw some criticisms about that. People are like, "Oh, I don't like this," and I'm like, I don't know what else were you expecting. Mechanically, it felt fine. I mean, my interest is piqued. I am very interested. Another thing that was actually really surprising is there was other players in the world. It had an MMO atmosphere. I hesitate by calling it an MMO, but
it's kind of live service, right?
It's live. I mean, what do we even call that, right? Where I'm clearly placed into a server with other players, but
it's like an instance-based multiplayer.
Right. I'm not forced to interact with them, but I can interact with them. So that was another surprise on my end. I was not expecting that from Skull and Bones. I thought it was going to be either a single-player experience or a multiplayer experience, not a joined kind of thing. So I don't know, folks. I'll be perfectly honest. I have a heavy bias for pirate games. I love the pirate atmosphere. So, but I think we should all be on the lookout for this. I think it might be worth getting. Watch your reviews, see what happens. I'll probably be playing it. But
Ubisoft, send us a license key.
Yeah, Ubisoft.
The only fun fact I have about Skull and Bones, I haven't played it myself. But apparently that game was in development hell because of like all sorts of classic reasons, like studio head leaving and all that stuff. But I guess they were forced to release that game because they had $120 million contract with the government of Singapore, and so they were basically like forced to make the game.
No.
I don't know the exact details. I
That's
think Kotaku
hilarious.
put out an article about it a while ago that I
Does
read.
it take place in Singapore? Is that why?
I think Ubisoft Singapore
Yeah.
probably built a studio in Singapore, and
Yeah.
then they were the
Mhm.
studio that made the game. But yeah, that's
That
why
makes
the
sense.
game basically came out after being stuck in hell, probably way past when any other AAA dev would have dropped development on it. But yeah, kind of crazy that it
That's
shook out that
great
way.
information. Yeah.
That's
And
that's
one
that's
thing
a
I
lot
do
of
want to note,
context.
when you launch the game, it shows about it. I want to say it was every single Ubisoft studio across the globe. Like it says
Yeah.
Ubisoft Singapore, Ubisoft Montreal,
Oh,
Ubisoft.
like the splash
Every
screens?
single and like 1,000 of them were like, I was like, I didn't even know they had a Ubisoft in Dubai, or so like it was like it was a collective effort of more studios than I've ever seen. And to me, that was kind of a red flag, right? I mean, you two would know more about it than me, but once you have like 10 different studios involved, like how do you actually produce anything, right?
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting, and I can't wait to see like how we change our tune in the future about this, and whether or not it's positive or negative direction, or just the
Yeah.
same. I don't know. But let's move on, because we're most of the way through our episode, and I want to get to our holiday gift guide. But before we dive in, we really appreciate those who follow and subscribe to us. So we post a new episode every Tuesday at 8 a.m. East Coast time, on podcast services and YouTube. So you can find us also on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms Podcast. So it's the best way you can support us, and we really appreciate it. Also, if you go to pixelatedrealms.org/ask, that's ASK, you can leave a comment, concern, reviews, questions, whatever, anything. We'll see it, and we'll bring it up next time at the end of the show. So please, if you have any questions for us, if you have any questions for Logan, if you have any questions for Dustin, or if you want us to talk about a topic, anything, feel free to go to pixelatedrealms.org/ask. Okay, that's out of the way. So let's go ahead and talk about our holiday gift guide. So the holidays are obviously coming up, and for those who are into gaming, what do we get? So I figured we were going to do round robin. We posted a list in our chat, but let's just kind of go around, and you guys can pick which one you want to talk about. And
Sure.
let's try not to overdo it. Let's just do a couple minutes per
Sure.
item. So
Cool.
All right, you first, Alex.
me first.
Yep.
So I actually wanted to start with kind of a vanilla thing, but I wanted to highlight the Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
So if the gamer in your life has either a PC or an Xbox, and they don't have an Xbox Game Pass subscription, you can buy a gift card. It's $10 a month, so you can get like a 3-month pass or a 6-month pass or whatever. But that gives them a entire vault of video games to access, and the value that you get for that is just insane. It's like buying 1,000 video games for somebody. So if you know somebody in your life that likes video games, you can't go wrong. And even if they have Game Pass, getting that gift card will extend their subscription. So it's just like a great, maybe even a stocking stuffer at that point. Like it's such a great value.
Yeah, I got to double down on that one too. I think sometimes people are afraid to give out like Steam gift cards or Xbox gift cards. Don't be afraid. The gamer in your life is going to love that. You just gave them thousands of games that are constantly updating. It is exciting. I know it might not feel like it is, but it's a great gift. It gives them the opportunity to play whatever they like when they want to play it. Great gift idea. And they've just been expanding it. It's just been a really great project. I gotta give big props to the Xbox and Microsoft teams for what they've been doing with Xbox Pass.
Actually, incredible value. Totally +1.
Cool. Want me to take the next one here?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So I'm going to share a gift that I actually want. Yeah, haha. Because I just thought it was such a great device. All of my Switch players out there, I know we love to play on the go, which is part of the amazing aspects of the Switch. But if you're like me and you have big gorilla monster adult hands, you have a hard time gripping the small Joy-Cons that come with the Nintendo Switch. So what I'm actually recommending is a Nintendo Switch Split Pad Pro ergonomic controllers. And these are Joy-Cons that have a full hand grip on them, and so you can play your Switch in handheld mode while still having that ergonomic, nice and relaxed grip. Personally, this is something I've been wanting for a long time, since the Switch even came out, just because, as cool as the Switch controller Joy-Cons are, they are a little bit small and they can be a little bit funky in the hand. So if you're like me and you like to do long hours playing Final Fantasy or Sea of Stars, definitely take a look at that Split Pad Pro for the Switch.
Cool. And I'll include links for all of these in the comments or description.
Great. All right, Logan, what do you think? What would you like this holiday season as a gamer?
Yeah, so there's a couple good options, which is actually supposed to be pretty great too. And I'm not the biggest fan of Razer products kind of anymore, but the Razer Kitsune is supposed to be pretty awesome actually. So yeah, either one of those I think are super good options. And yeah, there's a lot of awesome fighting games coming out and that are already out. So I think picking one of those up for anybody that likes such type of games is probably good gift.
If you haven't seen these folks, the new what do we even call them? Joystick. I'm blanking.
Arcade controller.
Arcade controller, yeah. Right. Instead of having that actual physical joystick, now we actually have 4 buttons assigned to the movement. And they're just clean. They're really well crafted. Sorry, kitty aggro, folks. Shouts out to the Coliseum, the fighting game community. They have.
Oh, we lost him. He's down.
The cat attacked.
The cat.
Still,
Tyler, we can't hear you.
Can't hear your mic.
Tyler, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Okay, we're moving on. We'll move while Tyler's trying to fix his audio.
I'm back. Okay.
Oh, he's gone again.
We lost him again.
I was just saying my cat really doesn't want me to record today. All right. Yeah. But get a Hitbox controller. If you like fighting games, get a Hitbox controller. They're amazing. I would love one myself. Hitbox, please sponsor us. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Half of our show is just begging for people to give us stuff.
Please go.
Please. Okay, so for me then, my next one is probably not going to be a big surprise. I want to start picking out a couple of. We have a couple of more hardware things, but I also want to talk about individual games. And I can't talk enough about Alan Wake 2, so I'm going to go there first. Alan Wake 2 is such an amazing game, my personal game of the year. So if you have a gamer in your life and they don't have that game already, and they like those, it's considered a survival horror game, but so much more than that. It is a little creepy, so take age considerations in mind, but amazing game.
I've personally been enjoying Alan Wake 2 upon Alex's recommendation, and if someone in your life really likes the older Resident Evil series, I mean, even in the newer Resident Evil series games, and they like investigations, they like extremely thematic storytelling, Alan Wake 2 is the game for them. It's not the kind of game I would typically play, but I'm enjoying it thoroughly just because of how well crafted it is. If you watched our Game Awards episode or you saw the Game Awards yourself, you saw that they got a large amount of awards, which is well deserved, and they kind of got best music robbed from them from Final Fantasy 16, but that's a different topic.
Okay,
so Alan Wake 2, pick it up.
All right, your turn.
Alrighty, my turn. All right, I'm gonna go a little bit off our list here. I think I want to kind of just want to plug both the Steam Deck and the PlayStation Portal, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to plug both of those because they've just really gone a long way in their innovations towards handheld gaming. If you have someone in your life who has a large PlayStation library, if you're someone like me who has a large Steam library, both of those options are really well-reviewed handheld devices. Decent battery life, nice screens. They have seemed to be able to play a vast majority of the games that are on both the PC and PlayStation. So if you have someone in your life who you think really enjoys those particular libraries and systems, I've heard nothing but great things about the Steam Deck as well as the PlayStation Portal. So definitely a great item to pick up if you're looking for something a little bit higher on the budget realm for someone who likes to game on the go.
You actually reminded me of one I'm going to bring up. So I'll wait. It's Logan's turn.
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I'll plug a game too. Since Alex kind of started that, there's a really great game that actually Riot Forge published. So if you don't know, Riot Forge is like basically a publishing arm we have at Riot that publishes like more compact single player story based games. So there's a really cool game that came out not too long ago called Song of Nunu. It's a single player RPG based on beloved Nunu character from League of Legends. Came out at the beginning of November. Is overwhelmingly positive on Steam, and
Woo.
the community is loving it so far. So definitely check it out. It's a really cool game. Pretty compact, like tight story based game, but it's super fun, super charming, and probably a good cozy winter game. So
Nice.
Yeah, I think you're
recommend that one.
totally right. It's really funny. We saw some TikTokers and Instagrammers like talking about it, and we could tell we're like, do they not know that this is like part of the League of Legends universe? Like it was like, oh, pick up this cozy game called Nunu's, and I'm like,
they had no idea who it was.
they had no idea. So if you're a Nunu player like I am, definitely pick that one up because they've done a great job. And you might also be familiar with what was the other title, Logan, that was the turn-based strategy title that was the same publisher.
Oh, was it? So there's been a few. Was it Mage Seeker? That one's not really turn-based. I don't think.
There was. It had. Oh shoot! Now that I'm on camera, I'm gonna forget everyone's name. But either way, there's been a few of these titles that Riot has like co-championed, and they've all been really well reviewed. So if you're a League of Legends player, this is a great place to start.
Well, I want to stay on track a little bit because we were quickly running out of time, and we have a lot more items to go through.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm gonna move us on. Tyler did remind me, this was something we didn't have on our list, but you were talking about handhelds that it reminded me. So I have actually a Backbone controller, if you've ever heard of these. And you can get them, basically what it allows you to do is you plug your phone into it, and then you can download either the PlayStation Remote app or Steam Remote app or whatever, and you can play video games remotely on your phone, and it acts like a controller. It also works on just like native games, so iOS or Android games, and I really enjoy it. And it's a cheaper alternative. I see your cat jumping on your head. It's a cheaper alternative to like the Steam Deck or the PlayStation Portal, and I really enjoy it. So I'm gonna shout that one out. All right, Tyler.
I'm gonna shout out a cat repellent spray. No, I'm just kidding. So let's see here. You know what? I will plug something that I use every day, and that Alex was nice enough to buy me. I believe this was last year for Christmas. So this is the Delta Carpio wrist rest. It is for your mouse computer. Oh yeah, you have yours strapped on. So it is a convenient rest with. I'm not even sure what material this is. Kind of like a micro, like
I don't know.
Like a silky, smooth material that helps you glide your mouse over your mouse pad. Personally, it took a while. It took me a week or two to get used to, but now that I'm used to it, I use it all the time. Great for shooter players, but really great for anything.
Yeah, it's good for helping. Like if your wrist hurts after playing games, it's good for that. And the new one comes with a wrist strap. So, all right, Logan.
Shoot, I'm running out of ideas. I think maybe the last one I'll plug is again, maybe this is kind of a niche product, but like I love playing like old GameCube games. So like a pretty high quality like GameCube controller always goes a long way. They're kind of hard to find nowadays, so you can find custom builders on Etsy that will kind of scrap them for parts and like make an actual working good GameCube controller. But that's a really good gift. I think pretty thoughtful if somebody's into that like kind of retro game stuff. And yeah,
I think that's
option.
a great gift idea.
Yeah, very cool. All right, then I'm gonna go down the list again. I'm gonna talk about another game. So can't go wrong. God of War Ragnarok. If you have a PlayStation user in your life, God of War Ragnarok is one of the nominated Game of the Years. Amazing game. Just announced some new free DLC. So the game is got a kind of a fresh drop of content. highly recommend. I mean, it's one of the cornerstone of PlayStation games. So if somebody in your life doesn't have the God of War games, then that one is a great product.
Yeah, I think I'd like to pitch for my next item kind of a more age-friendly option. So if you say you're a parent or a grandparent, you're looking for a good game option for the younger children that you could feel safe about, that you're not handing them the next GTA copy. And their parents are not going to appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and plug Super Mario Wonder. It was a huge success this year. A new Mario game came out, introducing new mechanics, of course, alongside all of the mechanics we know and love in the Mario titles. It is a multiplayer game, so it's great for kids and their siblings or their cousins and friends during the family time. So yeah, definitely check out Super Mario Wonder. Great gift idea. Really going to enhance your holidays this year, and it's going to get the kids excited. So,
All right, Logan, you got anything for us? Or you want to
Trying
go
to
off the
think.
list?
I think I'm probably tapped on ideas. I think the best advice I can give is, find a game that the person in your life, maybe likes to play, and buy them some like virtual currency to buy something in that game. So if they play like Rocket League, buy them some Rocket League points, and let them buy a new skin for their car, or anything like that. I think goes a long way too, because there's oftentimes things that as a gamer you kind of want to buy, but are a little hard to justify spending $20 on like a skin for your car in Rocket League, but actually can be super awesome to have once you have them. So something like that, I think, goes a long way.
Yeah, good recommendation.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go. I'm probably just gonna knock out a couple of games here then.
Sure.
So, so here I'm gonna go through a couple of games that are very popular this year. So if you need ideas, what game do I get my friend or partner or kids or whatever, these are some good ideas. So Spider-Man 2. Now this is I believe is a PlayStation exclusive game. So if they have a PlayStation, this is another great game, another cornerstone game. And Baldur's Gate 3 available on most platforms. I think it just came out on Xbox. I think it's definitely available on the PC. One game of the year at the Game Awards. If it's an RPG, so if they like those type of games, you cannot go wrong. If the person likes Dungeons and Dragons, this is the game for them. Let's see. If the person you're trying to buy gifts for has a Nintendo Switch, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. That was the big Nintendo Switch game this year. It's a sequel to Breath of the Wild, which was, flooded with awards. Tears of the Kingdom also heavily award-winning. Let me see. Oh, if you have a sports gamer in your life, I don't personally play them, but the what used to be called FIFA is now called the EA Sports FC. There's also the basketball games and the football games. So those are probably some of the best-selling games in the world. But and they're annualized. So even if they have an older version of it, you buy the newer version and they'll appreciate it a lot. So if they like sports and they like gaming, getting them the latest sports game that they like is probably a safe bet.
Safe bet.
Great games to play Christmas morning too, like unpack, play a round of FIFA against, your cousin or whatever. It's good times.
Yeah, easy fun during the holiday. That being said, now that you brought up the Switch, I got to shout out Sea of Stars. It did win best debut indie title this year, or was it best indie title? I'm sorry, guys. Either way, it won an award at the Game Awards this year. Sea of Stars, amazing Nintendo Switch game, also on Xbox Pass. So definitely check that one out. If you are a Chrono Trigger fan, if you're a Final Fantasy, the older style Final Fantasy fan, definitely a game that you should be checking out.
Very cool. So I'm gonna finish this off here by talking about a controller and then some headsets. So I personally use some of these things. So here I have my SCUF controller. So SCUF is this company that basically makes high quality controllers for both PC and console. So they have variations for the PlayStation, the Xbox, and the PC. I have the PC variant here. Extremely high quality. So if you have a gamer in your life that plays a lot, they will appreciate a SCUF controller because they have, like, for instance, they have special triggers on the back. It's weighted very nicely. The buttons are very tactile. It's not a casual controller. It's very much meant for somebody who plays a lot. So highly recommend a SCUF controller. Then also, if something that is kind of a cornerstone in gaming is, having a good headset. So if they have a console, the consoles have their own specific headsets. For instance, the PlayStation has their own headset. I believe Xbox has a headset as well. So those are great. As well as if they want to go and kind of off of the brand, off of the, like, console brand, there's a couple of good options. So I'm going to name a few of those, and it's kind of hard to say. Like, I don't want to say that there's one definitive brand over another because they all have their pros and cons, and people are going to have different opinions about the sound quality. But we're gonna list a few good ones. So SteelSeries is a brand that makes headsets that are very good. SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pro is the kind of top tier one right now. I believe I have an older model of that, so I use the SteelSeries myself. I love it. Razer has a new one that's been getting a lot of buzz called the Razer Black Shark V2, and I believe all of these have variations for the PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. So you can get any of these for them. Logitech has a really good wireless headset called the Logitech G Pro X2 Lightspeed. And then another good brand is Astro. Astro has the A40, A50 series, which is a wireless headset that is well known. I used to have Astro, liked them a lot, decided to try out SteelSeries, and now I like SteelSeries too. So you can't go wrong with any of those brands, any of those headsets, but it adds a whole new level of immersion and a really high level sound quality, as well as a microphone for chatting. So if somebody is a gamer in your life and they don't have a headset, they should probably get one.
Yep,
Okay.
for sure.
You guys got any last minute holiday gift ideas?
I think the only last thing I'll throw in is just some of my big games that if I was a gamer and I didn't own these, I would be very happy to receive. So I'll just call out Cyberpunk 2077 once again. Great state. If you were waiting on that game, that's an amazing game. If someone you know or love is still waiting to pick that one up, pick it up for them. You will be doing them a favor. Alex already mentioned Baldur's Gate 3. That's just an easy win for any RPG fan. I'm going to call out Remnant 2 because it was just a sleeper for me this year. Incredible game. If you like Dark Souls-like games, if you like shooters, that is a must play. Don't buy Starfield. Next. Robocop. If you're a big 80s movie fan like me, Robocop was an amazing title this year. So immersive. But I'll stop there. There's a lot of games we could go into, a lot of different age groups and gamers. But yeah, with those games, you can't steer them in the wrong direction.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Logan, for stopping by.
Yeah.
I hope we can get you back on another episode. We'll pick your brain. So thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be notified when we post new episodes. We post new episodes every Tuesday at 8 a.m. East Coast time on podcast services and YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Pixelated Realms Podcast. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.